On their Eastern Conference semifinal after a blowout Game 4 win.
When did you realize that your team had it to that extent tonight?
We haven't done anything yet. We're a pretty significant underdog in every game we've played in this series, and that will continue till the end. And we're going to keep approaching this like we have everything to prove. And we know people don't believe in us. And so we're going to just stay in the fight and keep fighting. All things about scores and all that other stuff's meaningless. That this game is now history. And so we got to stay in the present moment as much as we can, try to maintain an edge. There's going to be a big haymaker coming on whatever day it is, Tuesday. And, that building is one of the few buildings that rivals Gamebridge for noise and fan enthusiasm and everything else. So, we respect the heck out of their fans and what they got going there. So, a lot of work to do.
You've continually, including just now, said that each game will be harder than the previous one. What has allowed your team to continue to meet those challenges throughout the playoffs?
It's just a day-to-day, hour-to-hour thing. A playoff series is, I don't know, sometimes they're 10, 12 days, sometimes they're 2 weeks. They have incredibly high and low ebbs and flows. A lot of things going on, a lot of conversation. Back in the old days, before social media, you had newspapers and there was plenty going on then. Now there's stuff going on in real time, as you sit and breathe, So you got to try to know the things to ignore and just stay in the moment and stay in the process.
What was your view of the Benedict Mathurin ejection moment?
I had a lot of questions about it. I saw one still shot where it looked like he had his hand flat, but they have a lot of different views. Whatever happened. He'll accept, the ejection. Whatever else happens from it, and we just got to move forward. It's a learning experience for him, it's playoff series are physical, they're chippy, they're personal, and we gotta stay out of the weeds of things that take us away from what we do best.
So obviously Pascal and Obi got you started offensively, getting some post-ups against the back line of that 3-2. Just what kind of showed you that was the way to attack this thing, and what impressed you about just the way Pascal and Obi both handled getting buckets around the rim and also moving outside?
Yeah, we just had a better attitude about attacking the zone tonight, and we did it with greater urgency and more attitude. And that's the main thing. I mean, we've seen more zone than anybody in the league this year, so we had to make some adjustments. But the biggest adjustments were adjustments in attitude, and sort of how we brought a certain level of aggression to it. And we did better tonight, but we did better also because we rebounded better.
With Miles obviously hit some big shots for you down the stretch, also get some of those post-up buckets. Just what did you like about his game? How important was those shots he hit to kind of make that thing start to snowball?
Yeah, there were some. We had some very good runs when we needed them, particularly in the first half. And I'm not crazy about the way the game ended. It's just. Garbage time is ugly. It can be ugly, but we did a lot of good things to get ourselves enough of a cushion to finish the game. So I'm grateful for that. We had a lot of guys that did a lot of good things, and now it's over.
8 of 32 in the first half, you guys held them to. Just what'd you like defensively? 14 turnovers as well. I think they were like .77 per possession. Just what stood out to you just on that end?
Got to play with intensity and play clean. You don't like seeing them shooting 40 free throws, and they're shooting, an inordinate amount of free throws in this series, and so we've just got to look at it and figure out ways to play cleaner and still have a level of aggression and physicality without without having them go to the line all night, you know. So we'll look at it, and we'll try to do better.
I think Obi provided you with, just from a shot-making standpoint off the bench, and also the Dr. J-esque layup?
Well, you know, when they go to small lineups, having Obi and Pascal is a blessing for us because it allows us to match small and still maintain some size. I mean, those guys are still pretty big. And so he did a lot of good things tonight. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to shoot open shots. He's going to be able to create late clock when you're in a bit of a bind. And he's a mover. You know, he moves well. He's one of the guys that fuels us when we play well offensively. So it was much needed. You know, look, Game 3 was ugly. It was ugly, and our crowd was another thing that really fueled us tonight. And our guys responded well, but you know, as I said, it's over, and now we got to get ready for the next. Thanks.
Okay.
Lord have mercy.
I mean, it was kind of like that before he got hurt or got ejected. But point taken. This is not the dream team. This is the 2025 Indiana Pacers. You've heard the word force a lot already in the aftermath of this Game 4 win. This is not a strategy thing, right? This is not a Kenny Atkinson going to the chalkboard or the whiteboard and saying, okay, we need to do this differently and this differently. What can you do to correct what is essentially a no-show by the Cavaliers tonight?
First of all, after a loss like this, you just pack it up, you leave the locker room, say, guys, we'll see you in film for tomorrow. You get to the film session, and you challenge everybody in there. And you say, what do you have? This isn't good enough. We won the Eastern Conference. We have a great shot to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. But now we're in a hole. Now I'm going to challenge you. We thought it was going to be easy. It's not. I'm going to challenge each and every last one of you to fight and put your best foot forward, because that is not what we did on a primetime stage in a playoff game. We walked into Indiana, and we thought it was going to be easy. We got punched in the mouth. We got laid down on the mat. We never responded.
How long is that film session?
Oh, that film is long. That film session is at least an hour and a half.
At least an hour and a half?
Because we got to break down everything. We got to break down the easy looks. We got to break down how this team got 37 assists on us. We have to break down how did they score 58 points in the paint on us. We have to break down.
Why 22 turnovers?
Yeah. We got to break down how they shoot 53% from the field on us. And that's not. And we talked about them shooting over 60 in the first half.
Oh yeah, that's with garbage time.
Yeah, exactly.
53.
So I got to break down all these numbers and then say, this is how we're going to stop it.
Right.
And it starts with toughness, attitude, and then it starts with what we're going to do from a schematic standpoint.
Matt, I've had this narrative all season long. Were the Cavaliers in OKC ready to really grow up and really win a championship? Remember, you and I were talking about it, and everyone said, well, if it's Game 7 in Cleveland, Boston's going to win. I was like, wait a minute, they've had this type of season.
Yeah.
But now when they go through something like this, in a game like this, where Indiana was more greedy, more aggressive, and they wanted this win. And we've seen what Denver's done to OKC, really making challenge them to play better. So now I'm questioning the Cavaliers. Are you ready to graduate now, knowing the situation you're in, knowing your best player may be hurt, knowing that even DeAndre Hunter has the messed up thumb? Is this team ready to come out, as the kids like to say, the mud? Because it's really muddy right now, the way you've played today, to try to go back home and get your crowd back into it and try to win the ball game. To come back to a building where you just laid an egg at, man.
Right, yeah. Well, think about how long it took Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to finally win a title. They had to go through all of that stuff.
When they said break them up, and they kept them together and proved they could win it, now they've changed that narrative, and now they've struggled a little bit. They had to go into Madison Square Garden and remind people they were still that good. So I say it again. Kobe Altman, you did a hell of a thing going out and getting DeAndre Jordan when you had the best record in the NBA. Now your team is DeAndre Hunter. Now you're tested right now to understand that how bad do you want it to that film session you're talking about?
Yeah, that film session has to be very extensive. And not only do you have to challenge guys, once you challenge guys, now the coaching staff has to show guys what we're going to do from a schematic standpoint. Hey, they got 7 guys in double figures. This is how we're going to limit that. They got, like I said, they have 58 points in the paint. This is how we want to play the pick and roll in the situation. Are we going to switch it? Are we going to switch and then help load up? Whatever it is you want to do. Because what you did in the first half wasn't working. So once you get through the film session and you show where the effort plays weren't made, then you start seeing, hey, this is how we're going to win the next game and force this series back to Indiana.
You heard Miles Turner talking about how they heard it from Rick Carlisle about the effort stuff, the rebounds, the disparity in rebounds in particular, going back to Game 3 when the Cavaliers won. The Cavaliers are likely to hear a similar thing from Kenny Atkinson between now and Game 5. What should the first 3 minutes look like for the Cavaliers? Forget pick and roll coverage and all the other stuff schematically. What should those first 3 minutes look like?
That you're getting every rebound that's come off that rim. And offensively, the ball has created so much energy where you're knocking down every shot, like the Indiana Pacers just showed you tonight, where the ball was hopping. I don't think the first 5 shots they made were contested. So when you have uncontested shots like that and you're knocking them down and your crowd gets into it, you ride that wave like Indiana showed you tonight.
Let's take a break. More press conference coverage coming up here. We expect to hear from Rick Carlisle